This young man is riding the longest railroad in the country. His dream was to work for the National Railway Company, and his name is Naoto. When Naoto was walking out of the station, he caught sight of a sad little boy because his balloon floated up into the tree. He was trying to think of a way to help when a girl came running from behind him and stepped on his back, jumping up to grab the balloon, returning it to the kid. A gust of wind blew by, and behind Naoto he can hear a girl being surprised, and he accidentally saw what was underneath the girl's skirt. After that meeting, the two girls then left. Naoto then went to the National Railway Central Academy. When he got into class, he sees the two girls from earlier. The girl that's sitting next to him introduces herself as Haruka. Then the teacher entered the class. Miss Gono was the captain of the Tokyo Mobile Security Team. After she did attendance, she began the lecture. Naoto was then asked to answer a question. Naoto didn't quite know the answer, so from behind stands up Sakurai, who answers perfectly. Later, outside the hall, some students gathered to see that Haruka ranked top in the previous exam. Naoto comes to admire her, but Sakurai thinks he is flirting with Haruka. Iwaizumi asks her questions. If it's a matter of studying, then definitely Haruka can help. These four people are determined to study and help each other. It was then gymnastics time, and then target practice. Haruka, upon firing her pistol, was too scared, so she falls backwards. Out of the four, only Sakurai had the best aim. And so, these training days quickly pass, and now there is only 2 days left until their final exam. Now everyone is practicing coal shoveling. Naoto's team does it first. The four are divided into 2 pairs, shoveling coal into the furnace. There was a bit of difficulty midway through the test, but Naoto found a solution, and in the end they finished brilliantly. Of course, only their group reached speeds of 100 kilometers an hour. After that, everyone returned to class. Ms. Gono said that if everyone completes the exam tomorrow, then they will be participating in the OJT Railway Students Training Course. For the final test, they were sent to a station to practice what they have learned. Once more, our group of 4 people were assigned to each other. They then went to the captain's office to take on their task. The captain warned the trainees that because they only came here to practice, there was no need to do anything over the top. Just in time for the phone to ring. A passenger heard a dog barking on the train, so the captain asked if anyone wanted to go. Naoto and Haruka volunteered to handle this. The two of them were looking for the dog in one of the chambers when they heard it barking overhead. Haruka climbed on a ladder to find the dog, and Naoto held the ladder. A little accident occurred while they were looking. Naoto got flustered and apologized to her. In the end, the two of them managed to find the dog and take it out when they meet Iwaizumi and Sakurai. Their day was almost over, and they were about to head to the captain's office to report, when they caught sight of 2 robbers stealing a lady's bag. The 4 immediately gave chase, but could not keep up, and the robbers managed to escape on board a train. Naoto comes up with a way to catch up with them, by boarding a special train. When the 2 bandits got off their train, our team was already waiting for them. Naoto wanted to end this peacefully, but one of the robbers storms up with a knife, but is easily taken down by Iwaizumi. The remaining robber is then dealt with by Sakurai. After that, the team returned to the captain's office, where they are scolded for acting on their own. They thought that they won't pass this exam, but the next day, Naoto is informed that he has been accepted into the OJT, and what surprised him even more is that he is going to be working with Sakurai, Haruka, Iwaizumi, and one more girl. Episode 2. Everyone already knows each other, so the only person that needs an introduction is this new girl. Her name is Ida. She is the assigned head of Guard Team Number 4, Tokyo Railway Security Team, or also known as Team K4. Beneath this station, there is a train tunnel where people were moving train cars around and connecting them to the front carriage. Gono was on board, informing everyone to protect the safety of passengers. At first, Naoto thought that he had to work down here, all miserable. However, our K4 team's role is actually to maintain the station above. Naoto quickly showed how adept he is at this job by helping out an old lady with a lot of care. The next day, Naoto found a boy who has lost his mother. The boy didn't know what to do, until Haruka quickly coaxed the boy to stop crying. However, Sakurai is not satisfied with his job. She wants to be in real serious situations like cops, but Ida says that this is a very noble job and that they're not here to fight, before swiftly confiscating Sakurai's gun. The four members were busy hanging up some posters on the message board when Ida came to tell everyone that it's time for lunch. Sakurai quickly pulled Haruka ahead and told the two guys to finish off their work. The two girls are invited by Ida to quite a luxurious cafeteria. She also ordered sweets for them, and said that if she would ever feel down, she would eat sweets, and it'll help her get into a better mood. Meanwhile, the two guys were still working on an empty stomach, when suddenly, Iwazumi pulled Naoto away from an exploding locker next to him. The culprit called the station, and said that he had planted a bomb at Tokyo Station. The one just now was just a scare. Ida asked Chief Katamachi what the perpetrators wanted. If they want to know the location of the bomb, they need to give him 100 million yen. If not, then the bomb will detonate before 3 p.m., which is in an hour. They need to contact Captain Gono about this, but she won't make it back in time. Without much of a choice, the station chief went to prepare the money for the perpetrators. Not wanting to give in to these criminals, the K4 team asked Ida's permission to find the bomb. Ida agrees, and she will also tell the other station staff to also look for it. The team started by using detectors to look in all of the lockers, but it seemed rather hopeless. Sakurai said maybe the bomb wasn't here. Iwazumi then also says that he is intuitively sure the bomb is there. The four then went to the counter where the dog was being kept in a cage. Sakurai leaned in close to the cage and heard the sound of a timer. Haruka quickly runs to inform everyone, and Iwazumi went to evacuate all the passengers nearby. There was only 15 minutes left until the bomb would explode. They don't have much time, so Sakurai decides to defuse the bomb. Caring for the people around him, Naoto also helped her. The station chief has already prepared the money, and waited at the delivery place. Time is running out, and the two of them still couldn't defuse the bomb. Having an idea, Sakurai gets up and tells Naoto to keep it still, and runs away somewhere. As the timer ticked closer to 0, Heaven told Naoto to believe in himself. Sakurai then returned. She went and took a canister of liquid nitrogen and sprayed it all over the electrical panel. Fortunately, it was able to freeze the electrical board, temporarily diffusing it. The station chief was still waiting for the perpetrator with a case full of money in his hands, when the perpetrator finally appeared. Unfortunately for him, Gono and her task force captured him. After this incident, Naoto received the news that he has been chosen as the representative team leader. But it seems his dream of becoming a train conductor was still a long way. Episode 3. Naoto got on the train early in the morning when he met his friend Saso. This week she also joined OJT, but signed up for a different aspiration from Naoto. When they reached their stop, the two parted ways. Naoto was walking to the station when he heard a familiar sound. In the distance, Sakurai was arresting a criminal. Suddenly, a foreign man came up and asked Naoto for directions, but he does not know English, so he doesn't know what to say, until Haruka came in to save him. When they returned to their team room, Sakurai was having to write a letter of settlement for catching the criminals and knocking people unconscious. At noon, everyone went to the restaurant to eat. Last time only the 3 girls went, but this time it is with both Naoto and Iwazumi. Naoto and Sakurai were bickering when a familiar sound broke them up. It was Saso. She works at the OJT as a restaurant staff. Team K4 gets to meet Naoto's friend, and Haruka then thanks Saso for taking care of Naoto. She somewhat has the same addiction as Naoto, but she clarifies that not many people is as eccentric as Naoto. Later, Naoto was standing in front of a food stall when he again meets Saso. They both bought fish cakes and went to the nearby bench to sit. They reminisced about how they first met, and Naoto contemplated if he can last long in the railway security team, but then dismisses it. The next day, Team K4 is quite busy, and Ida didn't come to work today. Naoto was working on the computer, but had trouble. Haruka voluntarily went over and lent him a hand. Though she tried to help, Haruka's breasts were covering the screen, making it impossible for him to concentrate. Suddenly, his phone rang, causing Naoto to fall on his back. It was Saso who was calling him. She wanted to report a missing person, a girl named Kaori who often recorded train audio with Saso. When the team hears this, everyone immediately sets out to find the missing girl. After a bit, they found Kaori's phone. They tried to find any useful information on the phone. when Saso asked them to check the recording files. They discovered that she was definitely kidnapped, but they didn't know where it could have happened. Saso ran to the computer and plugged in her headphones, focusing on the sounds. It seemed like she knows where her friend was. They then went to a train station that is near the sea. The team wasted no time to search everywhere around the station for clues. After many hours of searching, Saso and Naoto found Kaori in an empty warehouse. As the team was about to escort Kaori and Saso out, the kidnappers came back and quickly took up arms. Naoto tells Saso to take Kaori out of here, and that he will stay to fight them. The men were then arrested. They were revealed to be drug dealers. Kaori was present when they sold some products, so she was taken away. But now she is safe. Saso also thanked Naoto for his help, and said he had changed a lot. Naoto has become cooler in her eyes. Episode 4. Team K4 is tasked with protecting an idol named Noah, who is the female icon of this year's National Railway. Noah is loved by many people, but the four of them do not know who this idol was. They accompanied her on the train as her bodyguards. Everyone talked happily, but Noah didn't seem to like this. When the train stopped at their station, everyone got off. But Sakurai spotted a guy hiding behind a message board. He then came out to give a doll to Noah. Noah's manager went to accept it, but he pushed her away, causing her to fall into Naoto and Noah. In the end, Naoto got knocked out from the fall. Later, when Noah is at the beach getting ready for the photo shoot, she needed to change into her swimsuit. Naoto was lying nearby, but Noah thought he was unconscious, so she changed anyways. Ida had entered the tent as well, just as Noah had undressed. Naoto had woken up, but Ida had covered his mouth to prevent him from speaking. Noah and her manager talked about maybe canceling this performance, because the manager found a card in her bag, saying that today's stage is going to be Noah's last. Noah said that she was still going to sing anyway, because she felt obligated to her fans, and comes out. Our team was then tasked with finding dangerous objects around the area and getting rid of them, when Noah comes over, wearing her swimsuit from earlier to perform. Ida came up with an idea and told everyone to change into their swimsuits. The one that came up with this plan was very eager to choose swimsuits for the girls, while Naoto and Iwazumi wait outside. Naoto was looking around using binoculars when he sees Sakurai and Haruka wearing swimsuits. Ida explains that if they look more pronounced, then the one threatening Noah won't make their move. Elsewhere, Noah was walking to the middle of the stage when suddenly a fire broke out. Later, Sakurai picked up pieces of the paper confetti and said that perhaps the culprit had mixed burning paper into the normal confetti. However, this only causes instantaneous fire, and gets put out instantly afterwards, without causing any burns. Even so, Naoto had to find the culprit quickly. He advises Noah to stop the show, but she disagrees, caring for the idol so much that he followed her into the woman's changing room and was giving a slap in the face. The three girls then soaked in the hot springs, while the boys stayed guard outside. Noah suddenly sang. She said that she initially started singing on the streets, where no one bothered to hear her. But through her relentless effort, she is now who she is today. That's why she will not give up this concert. And so, the performance went on as planned. The fans stood in large numbers below, cheering, and Noah singing above. When the song was over, she greeted everyone and began to socialize. Ida and Nanao also went on stage to do promotions for the railway. At the same time, Naoto notices one of the behind-the-scenes staff appeared. Naoto suspects that he is the culprit, so he quickly runs onto the stage to protect Noah. Ida quickly took the mic and made this look like a part of the promotion so that the audience wouldn't panic. The culprit then pulled out a knife and stabbed Naoto, but soon Sakurai rushes in and secured him down. The audience all applaud the realistic promotional part, and Noah thanked Naoto for saving her. When they returned on the train that day, the manager handed a lunchbox to Noah. She is reminded of Naoto's expression with a bright smile. Episode 5. Early in the morning, Sakurai came to drag Naoto to shooting practice, even though she was already an amazing shot. The two of them trained with paintball pistols. Needless to say, Sakurai would win easily, but the two still practice. He shot Sakurai from under her, so he didn't open his eyes. By pure chance, he somehow landed a shot at Sakurai's inner thigh. Sakurai took revenge by shooting Naoto down mercilessly. When Sakurai finished training, she went to get dressed, where she meets Ida. Taking this opportunity, Sakurai asked why she had to be paired up with Naoto before she could practice guns. Ida replies that every day is more peaceful like that, isn't it? The team then gathered in their room. Naoto was texting when Sakurai peeked over. Suddenly, Ida came into the room and handed over the pile of documents, saying that the perpetrator of the bombing before had one more accomplice, and showed his photo. Sakurai is so excited about this that she is determined to catch him. As they prepared to go search for the remaining criminal, Sakurai was a bit late, so Naoto told Haruka and Iwazumi to go first. He will stay and wait for her. After Sakurai arrived, the two bickered for a bit when they coincidentally came across the accomplice, so they followed him onto the train. Haruka and Iwazumi also saw the two of them boarding the train in the distance. They followed the perpetrator through several stations. When Naoto calls Ida for instructions, Ida allows them to follow, but only that. The arrest will be done by Gono's group. In the evening, the amount of passengers were getting less and less, and they couldn't keep following him forever. Because of this train's tight turns, the two of them are then spotted, so the perpetrator took off running. The two quickly gave chase. Sakurai follows the perpetrator into the forest, so Naoto reports back to Ida about the situation. When he tries to call Sakurai, he couldn't reach her. Perhaps this was because she was too deep into the mountain, so signals can't reach her. Sakurai then arrives at a tunnel in the mountains, and he wonders if Naoto will find her. It's not fun to go with him. When she walked down the tunnel, she came across some railways, thinking if she waited here, maybe he would find her. And truth be told, Naoto called out to Sakurai from a train. The two of them stood in front of the train, enjoying the breeze for a moment. Later, the two stayed in a cabin. Seeing Sakurai all wet, Naoto took off his still dry shirt and handed it to her. Naoto's shirt was quite wide, so Sakurai took off her skirt for comfort, after which they slept until morning. Hearing the train stopping, Sakurai opened her eyes and saw the culprit. The two quickly ran after the perpetrator. He wasn't going to give up so easily, so he threw his duffel bag onto the ground and ran away. Sakurai was about to take off after him, but heard a bomb in the bag, so she quickly ran back to push Naoto away. The two are relatively safe, but the rails have been destroyed by the bomb. A train was approaching, so Naoto said that if they can cut that wire over there, it will sound off the siren, signaling this train to stop. Sakurai, with Naoto's support, shot at the wire, successfully cutting it, and the train stopped right in front of the two. After this, they returned to their station and reported to Ida. Sakurai also asked to teach Naoto to be a useful person, because he was too cowardly. Haruka denied though, saying that he is kind, not cowardly. The two girls then quarreled about Naoto. Episode 6. All 4 members of K4 are under house arrest, and for Haruka, she is at the gym working out. She was getting dressed after a shower when she met Ida here. Suddenly, Naoto called her and told her about the incident. The two of them decided to meet. Sakurai had just gotten off the train when she looked at her phone and saw Naoto making a missed call. She wondered if she should call back or not, when she saw Haruka running out of the station. Outside the station, Naoto meets up with Haruka, but they had to hide, so not to be seen by anyone, because they were still under house arrest. Naoto now tells more in depth about the threatening letter that he received, when the railway mascot abruptly disturbed them, causing the two to flee somewhere else to talk. Naoto says that if Iwazumi was here now, then he would be more assured. But when they looked at the screen above them, it was Iwazumi participating in a curry eating contest. Across the street from them is Sakurai, who just broke her phone. She saw the two on the other side of the street, but they were holding hands, so she pulled out her gun and aimed it at Naoto. When she shot, however, it hit a clay ornament, scaring the two. Haruka and Naoto thought that the assassin was on their tail, and quickly pulled Naoto away. A police officer saw Sakurai shoot her gun, so she chases after Sakurai for shooting in public. As Haruka and Naoto got to somewhere safe, Naoto phoned Ida, but she didn't pick up. When a potted plant almost fell on Naoto, Haruka suspects that the assassin was tracking Naoto from his phone, and told him to throw it away, and the two continued to run. Meanwhile, Ida was drinking coffee with Gono, and asked her to show her how to charge her phone with an emergency charger. Haruka and Naoto were exhausted, and were resting in a car park when they spotted a bunch of cats chasing them. Haruka thinks the cats are attracted to the scent of her shirt, so she took it off, and the cats surrounded it. Sakurai, after running for a while, was able to lose the cop. She jumped over the fence and saw Naoto's phone here, and later Haruka's shirt as well. Meanwhile, Naoto and Haruka are hiding in the traffic museum, but the cats still manage to follow them, so Haruka decided to remove her dress to keep Naoto safe. The two then went deeper inside the museum, where it is closed. Sakurai was on her way home when she met Ida and Hitomi. Ida looked at the shirt that she was holding and remembered that it belonged to Haruka. Gono then suddenly had a call saying that someone had triggered the traffic museum's alarm system. Meanwhile, these two, looking like a young couple, are still visiting the museum. As they look through some trains, suddenly two masked men appear to chase them. Everyone else had arrived. Sakurai then saw Naoto and Haruka being chased by the two masked men running past, and so they chased after them. Haruka, however, somehow lost all of her clothes, so Naoto tells her to get inside of a closet to keep her safe, while he will find a way to deal with these men. Haruka sat inside the closet, remembering what happened to her as a child, trapped in a dark room, until Naoto was the one that came and saved her. After the girls defeated those two men, Naoto once again opened the door to save Haruka, and so she hugged Naoto completely naked. Later, Naoto explained to everyone about the threatening letter and the cat assassin, before handing the letter to Sakurai to read. The letter wrote that today could be the last day of your life, so get insurance quickly. In the end, it was just a slew of coincidences. Haruka smiled as she told Naoto not to worry, because this isn't enough to make her hate railroads.